Today's quest is to paint an entire Warhammer 40k Space Marine only with a sponge. Hi, my name is Toby and welcome to Paint Quest. Now the first question you might ask is, why? Well, on my 6 months painting journey I realized that you can only improve if you try new things. I recently watched a video from Midwinter Minis where a guy painted one of the armor panels of a Titan with sponges to create an amazing texture. This looks like a great technique, and I have also seen other hobby creators like Alex from 52 Miniatures using it for weathering. I need to take a deeper look into this technique, so in this video we'll take it to the extreme. For this Space Marine here, we'll use nothing else but sponges. No brushes allowed, so let's start. So here are our tools for this session. Okay, but let's exchange the wet palette with a dry palette to hold lots of thinned paint. We also need different sizes of sponge pieces, so let's make some. A pair of tweezers is also very helpful to hold the tiny sponges while painting the mini. Okay, let's quickly talk color scheme here. I decided to go classic on this one and choose the Blood Angels colors. So we'll mainly use red for the mini, but with an off-white shoulder pad to provide some contrast against some decals. And here we go. I started with a dark red to establish a base coat and set some texture. This is where I realized we'll need lots of layers for this one to get somewhere. So here's a counter, so at the end we'll know how many layers we'll have. We continue with another coat of dark red and another one. I have to say I'm surprised how well this actually works. Dip sponge into thin paint, dip onto miniature and repeat. Time to climb the highlight ladder. Next up is Mephiston Red, but instead of thinning it down with water, I'll use the Liquitex red ink. I bought these a couple of weeks ago and now's the time to try the red one. What I like about them is that you thin the paint with them to create an amazing flow, but the saturation and color intensity stays at 100%. And here we are at 7 layers. I have to say this technique is really growing on me. On some places I definitely went too strong, like here and here. It's very hard to control the intensity with a sponge compared to a brush. I guess I should have been more careful and dotted the excess paint more on a paper towel. But overall I like the micro-texturing this technique gives the surface. There are sprinkles and dots on the miniature in scale that a brush just couldn't produce. For the highlights I mix more and more yellow into the red mixture. And with this step I call the red armor done. Time for the metallics. I dip the sponge into a lead belcher from Citadel and we cover the knife, some details like the bolter and the grenades. I want a chip effect. Little pieces of armor color broken off due to battle damage. For this I'll again dip the sponge into lead belcher and apply it all over the prominent parts of the marine. I definitely made a mistake here. After that step I went over the marine in Rhinox hide. And I should have done that before applying the silver. That could have enhanced the effect way better. Now it looks more like dirty than actually chipped. But okay, let's move on. Last step, the shoulder pad. Let's dip a creamy color onto the marine armor here and let it dry. Let's have a look at our SpongeBob marine in all its glory. I expected a little bit more from the chipping, but in the end it definitely looks more grimdark. As you can see here, I stippled the base in dark gray and light gray with a fresh sponge and ended up with this. Not very glorious. Painting the base with a sponge is definitely not the way to go, but for this experiment we'll stick to the rules. Unfortunately this decal ripped when applying it on the right shoulder pad. It's a classic. We'll just leave it like that, it's all part of the experiment. Okay, so after all, to reach this point, we needed 24 layers of sponged on paint, including the base. I have to say I'm not super hyped about the end result. I mean, maybe this actually looks quite good considering we used nothing else but sponges. Maybe. Let's have a closer look. So the micro textures do look really nice here and here. But the highlights don't really pop, and I think that didn't really work with a sponge so well. So like overspray from an airbrush, there are places where things are super messy, which I also don't like. But the story is not over. The experiment with the sponges is now coming to an end. Let's see how we can fix this mini to true glory with a good old paintbrush. If you like my little paint quest for this video, subscribe for future experiments like this. There are more in the pipeline. Okay, first it's time to address the broken decal. Let's make the most out of this happy accident and draft a fix. For this, I first sketch a design digitally. The decal ripped apart in 3 ways, so why not add a lightning bolt in between them? The colors should be in contrast to the decal, so we'll add a very dark red first and then build lighter layers on top. And this looks like a solid plan. Let's execute it. First the dark outlines, now the lighter red, and here we are. But something is missing. I think we need more contrast, and the orange on top was a bad choice. That's how it sometimes plays out, but nothing is lost. I replace it with an off-white, and this way it has more contrast to the red and matches the color of the skull underneath. And now let's fix some oversponging and correct some details, like the under armor, grenades and belt stuff. First a solid base coat for the bolter and the under armor. Okay, a good start. Now next, time to shade the knife, or compared to a tiny human it's more like a sword. Same thing with the bolter. We can and we should do more though. I want more popping highlights on the armor. We mix a bright yellow greenish paint and go for the brightest points. And here we go. I want the bags on the belt to contrast to the red armor. For this, all of them get a black base coat. Then gray highlights, and we have a solid result. Okay, now the eyes. We need deep glowing eyes for this one. Base, highlight, and then of course the tiny little spot in the corner of the lens. By the way, if you find this video entertaining, please give it a like, it would help out more than you think. We are getting closer to being finished. Last step, more weathering, but this time with a brush. Some streaks here and there with the ultimate tool for that, which is Garag Sewer. I can only recommend this stuff for this kind of slight filtering and layering of armor parts. And now let's have a final grand reveal of the not so much SpongeBob Marine. I'm super surprised what an amazing tool sponges can be for painting. Try it yourself, it's great to create texture. I of course went a little bit overboard with this experiment, but a combination of paintbrush and sponge can have a great impact. If you like this experiment, you should watch this video here next, where I test the zenithal highlight on another marine. And these results truly surprised me.